Four back here again, and I'm going to be doing my quick thoughts on The Witch's Familiar. Now, as you might remember from my last quick thoughts on The Magician's Apprentice, I thought the episode had some decent moments, mostly involving Davros. However, I just felt that it wasn't very, I guess I should say, satisfying. It wasn't bad, just okay. It kind of was just a bit like it just happened, it was just, it just happened, and then, like, oh, okay. So, The Witch's Familiar. First, bit of a synopsis, or, how the hell am I supposed to say that word? I will figure it out. Anyway, so, we remember from last time that it apparently looked like that Clara and Missy had been killed by the Daleks, and that they had destroyed the TARDIS. But we see, at the beginning of this episode, that they're alive. No surprise there. That's really not much of a surprise. I mean, it's like, well, But anyway, it turns out, it was something to do with them, getting the energy from them to be able to teleport away, and basically, yeah, and we get this little recap of how the Doctor was able to do all these escapes, and there's this really weird moment where it shows the fourth and first Doctor for literally no reason. It's just there for fan service. It's like, what's the point? But anyway, we see his escape attempts and how he did it, and because he's clever and it's cool. My only problem is there's this other problem is there's this one moment where it does show him, in this thing, and Missy's like, oh, there's this one time where he was caught with these monkeys. But that's another story. It's like, maybe don't show it. I don't know. It's like, what's the point? But anyway. So, they gotta make their way back into the Dalek City because, the Doctor's there and there's Davros, so, he's in danger. The TARDIS is gone, apparently. So, when they make their way through, they go down into the Dalek sewers, which is full of, which is really interesting. It's full of all these dying, decaying Daleks. I should say Khaled mutants, and it's really quite interesting. I don't know. I found it interesting. The bit where she hit them and they're all screaming, it was really actually pretty good. So anyway, meanwhile, the Doctor is in there with Davros, and Davros is on the whole, I'm dying, Doctor. And the Doctor, of course, is, Clara's dead, that's what it seems to him, and he's just not gonna take it. So, at this one point, he literally rips Davros right out of his chair, and then gets in the, the go-kart looking thing. It basically looks like a Dalek go-kart. But it's awesome. Anyway, so he starts riding around, and he's all like, oh, and the Doctor, cool. Okay, he doesn't say that. But anyway, and he's asking, where's Clara? He's got to find her. So, meanwhile, we're missing Clara, and at one point they come across a Dalek, and they, Missy uses it as a diversion. She gets Clara to, gets it on a scanner, so a Dalek comes down to kill him. But then Missy kills the Dalek, and then they use it as a plan. So Clara gets in the Dalek, so they can infiltrate, and they go through. And there's this one moment where Missy's asking Clara, oh, so your name, and she's like, oh, I'm Clara Oswald, and she keeps saying, as a Dalek, it keeps saying, I'm a Dalek, foreshadowing and all that, and when she says, I love you, or you are different, it says, exterminate, because, all that. So anyway, yeah, they make their way through, and with Davros, basically, Davros is going about how, he's, created these Daleks to obey only him, and what he's doing is he's taking some of the energy from the Daleks, and that's the only thing that's keeping him alive in the power core. But then he starts to show a bit of a more vulnerable side. As it turns out, he isn't all that bad, it seems. That Davros is actually kind of starting to understand the meaning of compassion, and he's starting to respect the Doctor, and he starts to sort of go on about how, he just kind of wants to really kind of end the madness in a way. And, this is much to the Doctor's shock. This is Davros. This is the man who created the Daleks, It's like, whoa. But anyway, he wants to just bond, and, he just wants to see the sunrise with his own eyes. And yeah, he opens his eyes, which I thought was a bit odd. I thought his eyes were, like, blown out or something, but I don't know, maybe they weren't. I don't really know what to say about that. But anyway, so yeah, but the Doctor, he's like, don't worry, he's going to use a bit of his regenerative energy to restore some health to Davros. But as he does, it's a trick. Davros used Snaky Man to get up there, and, he's taken the energy from the Doctor, and, Davros is being restored, and he's just like, now, I tricked you, I'm gonna take over, the Daleks are gonna win. But, don't worry, as, Missy comes in with the, Dalek gun, I believe, it was like a Dalek gun, and then just shoots down the Snake Guy, and now he's dead. It's like, he's dead, And then, goes along the line of, I think, like, the Doctor used, like, a reverse, energy thing, so he kind of, like, knew or something. I could be wrong, but anyway, just post in the comments if I got that wrong. But yeah, so he kind of knew, what Davros was up to. And, yeah. So, but, they get out of there okay, because, it starts to collapse and stuff. I am really forgetting. Don't worry, I will put an annotation right here. Another annotation, hooray! But don't worry, it's going to be right here. It's going to be a little description of maybe what I forgot. Whoops. Anyway, so yeah, basically, they get out of there, but, they come across Clara, and Missy tries to trick the Doctor and say, this is the Dalek that killed Clara, I'm sorry, you have to kill it. And he starts asking, and at one point the Dalek says, Clara, in the Dalek says, mercy. And he's like, oh, Daleks can't say that, they weren't taught to say that, which, I don't know. But anyway, yeah, so, turns out, it's Clara. But then he lets Missy run away, for some reason, okay. So, they get out of the Dalek city, okay. They get back into the TARDIS, it's protected by a force field, so they get back in there, and they travel away, but Missy, she gets trapped by the Daleks, but she's, I got a plan. So, there's something happening there. So then, the Doctor and Clara, they, go away, and they, basically, the Doctor has something that he's got to do, and he goes back to young Davros, and, he helps him out of the minefield. He's like, exterminate, and then shoots all the hand mines, and he helps young Davros. He saves him, so, yeah, that's the end. Woo! Yeah, I forgot a few things, but don't worry, there's going to be annotation a few seconds back, but that's okay. So anyway, what were my thoughts on the episode? Well, once again, the acting was very good. Peter Capaldi, Jenna Coleman, Michelle Gomez, Julian Bleach, they were all great in their respective roles. They were really good. They played it well for the scenes, requiring if they were, devastated over the loss, when the Doctor was devastated over the loss of Clara, or he was confident, he did it really well. And, Jenna Coleman and Michelle Gomez work really well off each other. I still think that Missy, I don't really think she's a good master. Like, as the master, I don't really see her as, the master. But as her own kind of villain, she's alright, She's entertaining, and she has a lot of funny moments. you know, like that scene where she's stabbing the Dalek and she's just having a good old time, you know, that was, because she seemed to be just having fun, just killing that Dalek, you know, that was funny. Although, it's not a very Master thing to do. It didn't seem like something the Master would do, but, you know, I'm just being nitpicky, I guess. I don't know. And Julian Bleach is really good as Davros, you know, he's, a lot of great scenes, with him, you know, when he was dying. That was, you know, I was quite emotional, and he did it really well. It did become a bit obvious that it was a trick, you know, if you watch beforehand, you know, with the Snake Man, he's like, I have a plan, you know. It was a bit obvious, and, you know, he's like, step inside and see, you know, the power you can have, and it's like, you know, it's kind of obvious that he's got something planned, but, you know, it was, pretty good, and, it was, yeah, it was well done. Set design was good. Special effects were fine. The classic Daleks there, while interesting to see, they were kind of pointless. They didn't really do anything other than just kind of go, "We're Daleks." I mean, they did more than they did in Asylum with the Daleks, but I don't know. They still didn't really do anything other than just kind of be there, because fan service, classic Daleks, woo! I don't know. But other than that, yeah. So I will say the episode was a big improvement over uh, last time's episode. This one definitely had a lot more going for it. It was more entertaining, it was more emotional, and overall, it was more interesting. It still wasn't perfect, but, you know, it wasn't bad either. So, yeah, I would probably give this episode about maybe about a 7.5 out of 10. About a 7.5 out of 10, I would say. Sounds good. So, yeah, that's my thoughts on The Witch's Familiar. So, yeah, next time there's going to be a story involving ghosts, which looks a bit generic-y. I don't know, kind of just looks like typical generic ghost story with Doctor Who. I don't know, but who knows? It could be good. But let's just find out. So, yeah, those were my thoughts on The Witch's Familiar. Doctor Who Series 9 continues. So, I'll see you next time.